Okay. Statement: perception is reality. Now, that may seem a little contradictory, right? Because we've been hearing all day today about perception, about how it's pretty much a subjective thing, about how, it changes from person to person. And reality is reality. Water's wet, sky's blue. But they actually do interact with each other. And I'm explaining a little bit more about that in this presentation. Now, class time. What's the definition of perception? It's the information you gather from your five senses, the things you smell, hear, taste, touch, whatever, right? But then it goes a little deeper than that. The way you actually interpret those stimuli is also part of perception. So Hollywood's perception of taste of American public, things like that, right? So you're gathering all this information from these different stimuli, and then you actually, the way you interpret it. So it seems pretty clear-cut. It seems like it's a pretty clear-cut definition. But it's actually really pretty subjective, and it actually changes to everybody in this room. For example, who saw these? Now, who's the white and gold team? Blue and black. Exactly. So I started family fights. Like my wife and I, she called me so stupid for I'm team white and gold. So thank you. We're actually correct. Thank you. My wife was team black and blue. So we're looking at the same exact information. We're getting the same stimulus. We're looking at the same exact picture, but our brains are interpreting it differently. Right? And so that's the thing about it. It's very a subjective thing. Perception is very, obviously very subjective. It depends on who's who. Now, obviously, dresses are only one part of the deal. It goes a lot deeper than that. For example, these different hashtags here: Black Lives Matter, Me Too. That O actually dropped off somewhere. I don't know. That O's trying to escape. Immigration and LGBTQ. It depends on these different factors here, like past experiences, the beliefs of others and trusted individuals, current status and situation of life. So I have friends actually who are police officers, and with the Black Lives Matter things comes up, to look at the same exact video that I am, but they're saying one side. They're saying, oh, that guy might have done something wrong. He probably deserved that. He probably didn't. They probably did a little excessive force, but I'm sure they did something to deserve that. Whereas a lot of my family from Trenton, New Jersey, who've actually dealt with cops in the hood, are saying, that cop's gone a little too far. And again, look at Me Too movement, for instance. I'm sure, unfortunately, we have a nice room of women in here. I'm sure there's some women here who've probably been talked to or harassed before, once or twice in their lives. And so they can actually relate to that because of their past experiences. So their perception on it is different than a guy who is very, machismo, probably says, they're just complaining. We're just trying to give them a compliment, and they're taking it the wrong way. So perceptions really do actually change according to these different influences here. Now, we're doing a lot of talk about perception, things like that, but where's the reality come into place? Well, I'm going to give you my story. June 1st, 2002, graduated West Point. One of the biggest days of my life. I've actually experienced a lot of mental, physical, and emotional challenges throughout the 4 years. Hazing, getting push-ups, and just sleeping in the woods and shining shoes while all my friends are partying with girls and having fun. I'm sitting there making my bed and telling them, oh yeah, this is fun, good times, right? But I finally made it through after 4 years. George W. Bush gave me my diploma. I met Colin Powell and Norman Schwarzkopf and all these different people and all these influential people throughout history. It was also my mom's birthday. That handsome, young, strapping young lad right there is me, obviously. It depends on your perception. Just deal with me for a second. That's my mom and my mentor right there, pinning my butter bars on for the first time. The guy right there on the left is the guy actually helping my mom pin the bars on as my mentor I've known since I was 10 years old. He was a Command Sergeant Major Ranger, a Vietnam vet, pretty much the definition of, excuse my language, badass. And that's me and my two roommates, Jared Guthrie and Randy Simon. They were all ready to take on the world, right? Now, a nice, beautiful, sunny day. Everything's going well. All's right with the world. It was my mom's birthday, her 49th birthday also. So it was a picturesque storybook moment. Honestly, I can't remember any of these pictures here. I don't know what happened. My last memory of that day is pretty scattered. I remember shaking George Bush's hand, getting my diploma, and I remember seeing West Point in my rearview mirror, throwing up the deuce sign. Peace out, West Point, I'm gone. Why do I not remember anything? Because about 2 hours after this picture here, this happened. My SUV rolls off the side of the Palisades Parkway. I'm found hanging upside down from my seatbelt in my brand new Class A uniform in the road, in the woods. Off-duty EMT sees my car on the side of the road, pushes it over with the help of a couple of my classmates on their way home, starting their lives. My stuff's all over the road. I fall into a coma. I get airlifted to Westchester Hospital. I'm in a coma for 4.5 days. And my family's there. They go ahead. They were already going ahead. They had a party waiting for me. They had a cake and everything ready for me and everything like that. They had to come all the way back up to West Point and make sure I was going to be alive. My best friends slept on the side of the road, and I slept on the cafeteria floor to make sure I was alive and things like that. 4.5 days later, I'll wake up, and I'm not all there. I think some of the nurses are terrorists. I can't walk, things like that. I get sent to Walter Reed Hospital down for a week and a half. They say you need more work. They sent me down to McGuire Hospital in Richmond, Virginia for 6 weeks. I had to learn how to walk again. Had to learn people's memories, things like that. I remember who people were. I thought my father was there, and my father passed away 2 years prior. So I was all over the place. Anyway, after 2 months, I get home. My family and my friends breathe a sigh of relief. John's okay. He made it home. They experienced the worst part of this whole thing, where they didn't know if I was going to be alive or not. So for them, the nightmare was over. They got to go on with their lives. Whereas I, on the other hand, the nightmare just started, because I just started getting more recurring memories and things like that. And I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? I'm sitting at home. I'm sleeping in the same room I was when I was 13 years old. Here I am, 22 years old. I was in the best shape of my life, ready to start my career. And now I'm sitting at home saying, what now? Had many nights of depression, staying up at night and just kind of saying, okay, trying to replay this whole situation. Like, what does it mean? Like, why did it happen? Why did it happen to me? Like, what was me? All this stuff like that too. So the perception of that accident, June 1st, 2002, was something that ruined my life. That was the way I looked at it. That was the way I interpreted it. And because of it, that made it my reality. I didn't do anything. I just sat at home, just moping around, watching daytime TV, which sucks, by the way. So the longer I'm sitting at home and just kind of moping around and saying, okay, what am I do now? My life's over. I started watching more news footage of the Iraq War and getting more emails from my friends from West Point and saying, okay, well, what's going on? And I started hearing about these guys here. A good friend of mine, Zach Miller, he was a Rhodes Scholar. In between graduating West Point and going to Oxford, he was an overachiever. He went to the Ranger School. He was found dead, land navigation course, heat exhaustion. Joe Imai, good friend of mine, also West Point, rugby player, funny guy. On his way to Iraq, on a vacation, he died in a boating accident, Houston, Texas. And this list of all my other classmates that passed away, either in war or because of an accident at home. And it made me rethink things. It says, you know what? I'm still here. June 1st, 2002 sucked, but I'm still here. So I still have an open opportunity to do something with my life. So I started to look things differently, and I started thinking, you know what, maybe let me start doing things, and started kind of going out and meeting people and going to different parties and getting involved in things, taking college courses and volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club down in Camden. Anybody been to Camden before? Camden, New Jersey? Okay, yeah. I deserve a medal for going there because it's like war, okay? So I was actually going out there, and I started seeing, okay, well, you know what, maybe that accident, it was never a good thing, but it's an opportunity to do something else. And so as I started looking at that, I started doing things. I started saying, well, my reality started to change. My perception of the accident changed, so then my reality started to change. And because of that, I met this lady here, Linda Escobedo, little Mexican-American sweetheart. We've been married now for 9 years. Because I got to go out and I got to talk to people and actually got to interact with people, I got to meet people. So all these priceless moments, I think back now, I'm like, I wouldn't have had it. Like us being thugs, up there at a party, going to Stonehenge, me being Boy George and she's Madonna, Halloween party, Union League, things like that, going to London and Paris and Italy, things like that. I opened up my horizons because I looked at the accident as another opportunity to do something different. And I think now, thinking back on it now, if it wasn't for that accident, I wouldn't be T.O. John to my 2 nieces and my nephew down there. I wouldn't have met Ron Jaworski or Ike Reese or any of my favorite Eagles of all time. I wouldn't have done like the 9/11 Heroes Run with a lot of the veterans associations that I was introduced to doing. I get to give back. I have an opportunity now to do something different with my life. And actually, it's not the same as before. I had everything planned out, but now it took a sharp right turn. And now I'm actually doing something else. So my reality is different now. So my final thought, and I came up with this quote actually while I was getting ready for this presentation. The pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist expects it to change. The leader adjusts the sails. The wind's going to blow no matter what. It doesn't care who you are, what your religious background is, your culture, or anything like that. Same with things life. Time's going to go by. It's up to you to decide what your destination is going to be. And that's what I decided to do there. The accident, I'll never say it was a good thing. It still sucks. I don't suggest that you go and flip your car, but it's not a good thing. It's not a fun thing to do, but it is what it is. But I look at it differently now as an opportunity to go in and change the course of my life. So my suggestion to you, when anything bad happens in your life, be a leader. Adjust your sails. And on that note, being a West Point grad, go Army.